Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to AA Garthwaite Stadium here in beautiful downtown Conshohocken, Pennsylvania, for the final home game of the season for the Philadelphia Phoenix, who are hosting today the number 2 ranked in the East DC Breeze. And this game actually has some meaning for the Breeze, who can secure a home playoff game with a win. They would need Toronto Rush to lose at home to the Empire to get the number 1 seed, which I think is fairly unlikely. But if they win today, they have secured a home playoff game. If they do not, they will not. So the Phoenix have a chance to be a genuine spoiler here and to get their second victory at home against the DC Breeze after a 1-goal win about a month ago. Joining me in the booth today is Sean Dacey.
Hello.
Welcome back, Sean. Good to see you again.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Excited for another DC matchup. Hopefully we can get another W.
That would be very nice. We also have our illustrious former coach Steve Leinert on clock, who has been called in on emergency duty after another ref who shall remain nameless failed to show. And, of course, we have the exceptional crew of Pat Gariantes on the machinery here in the booth, with Mark Sands on the camera, and down on the field, Nick Halliday and Len Evans taking care of our on-field duties. We had a torrential downpour just about 20 minutes ago here, so you will see water splash when bodies hit the turf.
Yeah.
And, of course, that reduces the risk of injury and probably will increase the number of layouts because nipple rippers will be few and rug burns on the arms and legs are few anyway on the grass, much fewer than compared to turf fields.
Yeah, I walked across the field just before we got started, and it is literally a swamp out there.
Yeah. Yeah, some of that may soak in as the game goes on, but it was a good 1.5 inches of rain in about 20 minutes. There was a puddle over on the concourse there because it's so overwhelmed the drainage system here. It's taken until now to recede. It finally has. But the field, I think, is a little safer for the players, though it's also probably going to be a little slipperier, and the disc will be wet a lot of the time, and so we're going to be prone to turnovers.
Yep.
The Phoenix are pulling the disc. Marquez Brownlee with a great huck in a pretty much windless day now that the rain has passed. Eric Nardelli leading the troops down there with Stephen Ing, Scotty Zhu. We have number 6 Doug Roman on the field, Casey Startzel here on the near side, and Steve Rosso, or I'm sorry, Greg Martin out there in the middle, chasing a lone man deep who somehow got loose. And the DC Breeze with the disc.
It's Joe Freund looking for Rowan McDonald for the goal.
And Joe Freund to Rowan McDonald for the first DC Breeze score. They made it look pretty easy. And that is a nice opener for them. Marquez was on D in the end zone, but the disc was very well thrown.
Yeah.
Just got around him.
Very smooth, calm, chilly offense there from the Breeze.
One of the benefits of this rainstorm, as we see Jeff Wodach coming off the field for DC, is that the temperature dropped about 15 degrees. So the Phoenix and the Breeze and the refs are pretty glad about that. We have Will Honey and looks like Ryan Brown out there, along with Oak Nelson, Sean Mott, Quinn Hunziker, and Nicky Spiva with the disc to Paul Klimkowski, rounding out our offensive 7 for the Phoenix to start the game. Hunziker all by himself to Will Honey, across to Ryan Brown on the near sideline. Thought for a moment about Oak Nelson deep, but Nicky Spiva asking for contact there, was he?
Yeah, it looked like it.
I think so.
I didn't really see anything much there.
Ryan Brown kicking up a puddle And so is Sean Mott as he lands over there. Every footstep is going to raise water here for the first quarter, I think.
Absolutely.
Nikki Spiva back to Quinn Hunziker in the middle. Swinging to Paulie Klimkowski. Looked for Ryan Brown, then up the center to Oak Nelson. Nice outside soft flick to Sean Mott at the 11. He's just waiting to see who gets there first. Fakes to Oak Nelson, comes back to Nikki. We got a little contact there. Little chest bump, pretty minor, but Nick finally got the call.
That's Troy Holland covering Nikki Spiva.
That was effective on Nick's part to get that started with trail ref J.B. Harrington and head ref. Oh, nice to Will Honey from Nikki Spiva. Simple backhand into the end zone from short distance.
Again, good patient offense. Worked it right up the field. Punch it in for the score. Making it look easy.
They sure are. We're going to keep our eye on the Phoenix tonight to see if they can muster some of that first half D that they had in the last game against the Empire. Of course, DC is a better team, and they too have brought their roster today. And last year's MLU head coach of the year, Darryl Stanley, after his 11-1 run with the Philadelphia Spinners, who won their sole championship last year on the eve of the dissolution of their league, unfortunately. But it wasn't hard for Darryl to find work in the AUDL, that's for sure. Nice pull this time coming down to the 5.
It's Lloyd Blake to Alan Kolick, who cut off his locks. It's hard to tell who he is without that long hair.
Kenny Wells marking the thrower here.
It's wide open Rowan McDonald on the sideline. Up to Matthew Kerrigan. He's going to pump, look for his dump.
Rowan trying to get open on Ryan Forster there. We have Glenn Poole about to take up the mark. Briefly, and Scotty Zhu on the far side. Flick is up at the 3. Greg Martin can't stop him from popping it in.
And that's Joe Freund again with another assist to Matthew Kerrigan.
Joe Freund to Matthew Kerrigan for the second goal for DC. We do have a few DC home fans here, which is nice. It's a fairly short trip, 2.5 hours or so, maybe a little less up to Conshohocken here, but roughly that.
Yep.
And it looks like we're going to be okay, at least for the first half, certainly. There's very little intimidating looking weather to the west, which is where that storm rolled in from. And when you looked at it on radar, it was that dark, dark red with lightning bolts all through it.
Oh, yeah, we had plenty of that here.
And as such, of course, we had to wait a 20-minute safety margin there to make sure that there wasn't going to be any risk. Paul Klimkowski picking it up on the near side. And very quickly over to Nikki Spiva, who pops it deep and out of bounds to Ryan Brown. We're going to have to give Nikki that one for the turnover. A good idea. He just, I think, again, we're going to see a little bit of wet disc stuff today. That might have gone out of his hand a little early. And as such, it didn't quite manage to come back in there. Trying to figure out where it went out of bounds now, and that's going to be back close to where Nikki threw it. Referee Stacy Spencer on the near side has marked it at the 35 of the Breeze, of the Phoenix, which is, at the 40. The first turnover of the game.
It's Brian Marshall with the disc over to number 20, Corey Broyles.
And the offensive line of the Phoenix doing a pretty nice job on D right now, staying on these throwers. Paulie Klimkowski looking at the lanes and poaching just a step or two to make that throw be a swing instead of upfield. Oak Nelson on the far side, pushing things into the middle, and Mr. Johnson took that out of the air instead of letting it get D'd up by the Phoenix, which was a good move. DeMarco Johnson.
It's John Agan with the disc.
Sean Mott guarding him. Back to DeMarco.
Del Rico,
thank you. With Ryan Brown on him. Del Rico puts a little backhand to the 2.
It's wide open, Brian Marshall.
to number 11.
That's Joe Richards.
So the first break of the game, and DC up 3-1.
Yeah. I like that shot from Spiva, though. I mean, his man was wide open downfield.
Sure.
I mean, that's just a throw you got to hit, though.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it certainly wasn't a, he had a good lead down there. He was open. He wasn't just, barely in front of his man. That's one of those ones you want back desperately. And now, again, waiting on offense. We have Stephen Ing, Quinn Hunziker. Kenny Wells is staying out there. Matt Esser is in.
Some D-line guys.
Yeah, some D-line guys. And we've got Scotty Zhu, Oak Nelson, and Glenn Poole.
Glenn Poole is going to field it up to Sting. He's going to find Scotty. Back in the middle to Quinn Hunziker.
Quinn Hunziker with a big rip down for Matt Esser, who's reading it and
Yep.
pulling it in at the 4, just in case he was at the goal line with the big jump. And there it is to Greg Martin.
Great shot from Quinn Hunziker there. That one was right on the money, right out in front of his target. Matt Esser hits Greg Martin for the easy dish for the goal.
And, of course, Matt Esser is not on my roster, so I'm going to have to put him on here. He is the a late sub, I think, for someone. I'm not sure who, though. So we're going to give him that assist and Greg Martin the goal. And we're back to 3-2. So time for a little Philly D.
Yeah, definitely would like to see them put on some pressure here, force a D.
Our clock operator is texting madly while he waits for the pull to go up.
Bailey, I don't know
Greg
if you
Martin.
I don't know if you know this, but Toronto Rush have actually offered the Phoenix 100 pounds of poutine to win this game.
No kidding? I did not know that. I
Yeah.
think that's great. For those of you not familiar with Canadian delicacies, poutine is the French fries with gravy dish that is so popular in Canada. And that's hilarious.
That's some good motivation
Ooh.
there.
And Doug Roman really giving a larger opponent a rough time on the near sideline here.
Absolutely.
Ooh, that was almost hit by 2, Phoenix. Big outside lefty flick in for the goal against the same Doug Roman, who can't stop that.
It's number 34. Joe Freund with the goal this time. I didn't see who threw that.
I will tell you here in just a moment. Donald comes into the middle, I see on this. Number 8, it looks like.
Number 6,
Number 6, yes, there you go.
Jonathan Neely with the assist.
And again, waiting on D. We have Ryan Brown, Will Honey, Quinn Hunziker, Up Nelson, Sean Mott, Paul Klimkowski, and Nicky Spiva. Paul looked right and didn't see anyone, so came over towards us.
Looks like a zone look here from the breeze. Quinn in the middle there to break it. Over to Oak Nelson. He's going to find Paulie. Over to the homie Sean Mott, who catches that one.
Sean is, of course, going to get a little ribbing about a couple of drops he had last week that were inconsequential in terms of the outcome. But one was for a floaty goal to the back of the end zone, and apparently he stepped on the end line before he secured that disc.
Yep.
Which he has been teased mercilessly for ever since. Oak Nelson, a little pick there, I guess, or maybe offensive contact. But and Oak got that tipped.
Wow.
Just snagged.
It's Lloyd Blake ripping it down.
Second turnover for the Phoenix. And DC looking to make them pay, though this time they got a little ways further to go.
Little scoober up to Troy Holland. Back over to Lloyd Blake.
Nicky Spiva on the mark in the middle. And Paul Klimkowski Delrico Johnson, Ryan Brown guarding him. Oh, and it's overthrown. We have one little turn for Delrico Johnson on the throwaway, and now it's time to see if the Phoenix can capitalize, get that possession back, and then get a couple Ds here. Nicky bringing it up to the front, to the goal line. He's not getting upfield much. There it is for Will Honey. Sean Mott coming across, wide open. Back to Nick Spiva in the middle-ish with a flick up to Oak Nelson.
Nice.
Very nice. Little floaty, but he had no reason not to. There was plenty of space. Quinn Hunziker just inside the DC half of the field. Back to Nick Spiva. And Will Honey changes direction to track that down at the 22.
Thinks about the hammer, but thinks better of it.
Delrico Johnson guarding him. A big floaty toss for the dump to Nicky Spiva, who runs it down back to the 35.
This Phoenix offense is looking mighty stagnant right now.
Yeah, they're doing a vert stack, and they're not seeming to get a whole lot out of it. Quinn Hunziker, though, at the 2, catches it inbounds, comes back to the corner, and a nice hammer that is going to get D'd up.
Ooh. That's number 20, Corey Broyles with the D.
Yeah, we're going to have to give that one to Quinn for being a little casual.
Yeah, I think he hesitated just a little bit there. If he fired that right away.
He wants that one back.
Yeah.
If he had just done a scuba with a little zip on it, it would have been caught and no worries.
Absolutely.
Nick Spiva on the mark.
It's Lloyd Blake with it. Hits the around to Brian Marshall.
Ryan Brown on him, and Marshall looking downfield, but comes instead into the middle. DC is moving it fairly well here.
Delrico's wide open. They're going to put it out to him.
And Sean Mott is up there after the whistle has blown.
It's a call on the play, yeah.
They're bringing it back. J.B. Harrington is calling it back to the 40. I'm not sure if that was a travel. I think it must have been.
Yep.
Yeah, for it to be called back, had to be a travel there.
Nice around break there.
Ryan Brown shutting down the sideline.
Brian Marshall over
Oh!
Wow.
And DC with a pretty goal.
That's John Agan to
Number 17.
Lloyd Blake.
Holy cats.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's Eric Miner.
(5-2). Not an auspicious start for the Phoenix.
Yeah, not good at all.
Has actually come out here.
Phoenix needs to start taking care of this disc on offense.
Yep. And they need to start getting a couple Ds, but they haven't really pulled to DC now in 3 points.
Yeah.
So the visitors up 5-2. A big backhand boomerang pull that's going to come down around the 35.
It's Austin Bartenstein
Boom.
with the
Sitting
pull.
on the 35 for Scotty Zhu to pick up. Wiping it down with his shirt a little bit. Glenn Poole behind him. He swings to Stephen Ing. Back to Scott in the middle over to Glenn. He's looking upfield for a minute. Back to Sting. Aaron Brooks, who's a late entrance in the game, is on the far side back there opposite Glenn Poole. He's going to get it in a second if there's a stall put on him. Didn't look like they were close enough for it. Greg Martin, Steve Martin, that's hilarious. Scott Zhu. Oh, back to Glenn Poole. Tapped by O'Donnell on his way by, trying to get that knocked loose. And Scott Zhu again to Aaron Brooks at the 2, who's, a nice little around to, who's that guy? That big, tall guy. Marquez Brownlee, yes, for his first goal.
Aaron Roberts on the assist.
Aaron with nice patience there, and then an easy curving back in backhand. So they do finally get that one back.
Finally.
Let's
see if they can get a break here on D. It'd be nice to put some pressure on, force a D, and punch it in.
I'm remembering last week at this time the Phoenix were just getting up about 5-1 or so. We were all wondering who the teams were we were watching because it was so uncharacteristic. But I don't think there's any quit in them this week either. They've beaten these guys once, and in that game, they only led for the last point of the game. So we will have patience.
That's Alan Kolick with the disc.
And it looks like much the same line is still out there for the Phoenix.
Little foul call out there. I think that's Colin Kochinash getting called for the contact on Rowan McDonald.
Yeah. I think it was as much Rowan just tripping over himself as anything else, but there was a little contact there.
It's Ryan Forster on the mark.
Kerrigan with the disc. And Kochinash watching deep, staying close to O'Donnell back there. Glenn Poole again checking the lanes. These guys have such experience that they are taking away those lanes as they watch things behind them. Jeff Wodach coming up the near sideline.
Nice slide.
Yeah.
It's Tyler Monroe with the disc out to Zach Norbum. All the way out to Matthew Kerrigan.
Kerrigan, nice backhand fake.
Over to Rowan McDonald. Up the line to Monroe, and there seems to be a call.
That's a DC. Had to be a pick, yes?
I believe so.
Or some kind of contact there. Oh! Aaron Roberts can't quite get to it. And DC puts it in easily from 99 to 34.
That's Alan Kolick. To 34, Joe Freund, who's now been involved in 4 of the DC Breeze's 6 goals.
Yikes. That was like Connor Klein last week, who caught 8 for New York in a losing cause. They only scored 23, and he had over a third of them. So with 49 seconds left, we'll be entering that final 30-second phase after this point gets started. And because it's a little treacherous on the footing out there, I think these points are just taking a little while longer. You have Greg Martin, Nicky Spiva, Sean Mott, Oak Nelson, Ryan Brown, Paul Klimkowski coming over for the disc, and Will Honey out there on O for the Phoenix.
Spiva in the middle.
And that's a wet disc by definition because he just picked it up off the grass.
Over to Greg Martin, back to Spiva.
Needs some upfield cuts, Phoenix. There it is. Will Honey in the middle. Out to Paul Klimkowski. Wanted it back to Will, but thought better of it. Nick Spiva. Ryan Brown wide open at the 20. And Phoenix burning a little too much clock here. They need to start getting it downfield with 12 seconds left. Sean Mott up to the 35. Oak Nelson in the middle at the 35 of DC. Will Honey going to Greg Martin.
2,
and
1.
He pops it up.
Wow.
It is D by Delrico Johnson. And we're going to give him that D because it stopped a point.
Absolutely.
For the Phoenix. He got it at the end of the
looked a little too casual there from the Phoenix offense.
Put 2 minutes on the clock, 2:30 for the quarter. We want to take this opportunity briefly to mention some of our great help and sponsors here. Here on the broadcast team, once again, Nikki Halliday down on the field with Len Evans. We have Pat Gariantes up here in the booth, making sure everything runs smoothly. And, of course, Mark Sands on a camera, and Sean Dacey and Steve Leinert here with me. Steve on clock, Sean on the other microphone. We also want to thank our sponsors, the Ice Butler from Fraser, PA, Dr. Andrew Terry, the chiropractor and trainer for the Phoenix, and FWAT, of course, Fingers, Wings, and Other Things. The new Ramp Shot Yard Game, which is kind of like cornhole on steroids, I'm told. And Ultimate Peace, the program to get Ultimate involved with Israeli and Palestinian youth over in the Middle East. Glenn Poole just returning from a trip, which I want to catch up with him briefly at halftime about, so I can tell you about in the second half. But for right now, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back with the second quarter in about a minute and 15 seconds. See you soon.
This piece with Eric is amazing to me. It's right in line with what we think is critical for kids, and that is to know their bodies.
The kids have really gotten into having speakers here that aren't just their teachers.
And I think the clinicians did a fantastic job. All the kids were engaged, none of them were distracted. They seemed to get into it right away.
I just want to reach out to Eric and tell him, thank you for coming and sharing the message that our kids can speak up. Early recognition is critical, and I look forward to doing more things with Eric in the future.
It's been great for us as a staff and for our students to experience the message you guys have, and highly recommend it for any school that has the opportunity.
So this piece.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with just about 22 seconds before the teams are ready to start the second quarter. I think there's a concerted effort here to make up for our slight delay. We're going to have just a 10-minute half. And
Thanks.
We are right on schedule for the second quarter. We want to thank Don Grage, who just came up and gave us some updates on the DC roster, and for his help in getting me the roster last night so that I could print it out and have score sheets, which, primitive though they may be, help us keep track just roughly of what's going on so we can keep an eye on things for you up here without referring to the on-field statisticians, who do a much better job with their little apps and everything. But we also want to watch the action so we don't miss anything and can report to you. And I've encouraged Mr. Leinert, Professor Leinert, to chirp up if he has some observation to make because of his wealth of experience. And, of course, the fun we had the last 2 weeks. Oak Nelson bobbling a little skimmer. Thankfully, it was not in the air. Scott Jew in the middle, looking for some help, and gets it from Ryan Brown at the 33. Pops it up to Sean Mott, who takes it one-handed and puts a huge backhand to a wide-open Marquez Brownlee. Being a New York and North Jersey native, he knows so many people around the league, and took a little slip there in the end zone just as he caught that.
Yeah, it looks like he might have tweaked something. He's moving a little slow after that, but there he goes. He's jogging it off.
Yeah. We want to make sure he's okay, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
So Marquez with his second goal, and Sean Mott with his actual first stat of the game, aside from the oh, he did not have a turnover yet. I guess there are no drops for Sean. Sorry, Sean Michael, we can't help it. We know you're going to go flawless today. You're certainly not going to drop any. So we have 6-4 DC now, and the Phoenix will once again try and get a break here.
It's Glenn Poole with the pull
on what has been a very consistent DC Breeze offense. Kenny Wells on the mark, forcing it out towards the sideline a little bit with Glenn Poole.
It's Kerrigan up to Rowan McDonald.
Rowan
nice
McDonald
floaty backhand up
very
there.
Very floaty for Jeff Wodach, who he figures can take it over a 5 or 6 inch shorter Scott Jew, and he's right about that. Jeff, one of DC's premier handlers and offensive weapons, and a fairly easy goal from number 14 to number 19.
That's Lloyd Blake.
99, I'm sorry.
Yep, over to Alan Kolick.
For another DC score. We have yet to get that break here, ladies and gentlemen. We're still waiting for it. We need a couple of them now, actually.
Yeah.
I don't think the DC offense has committed a turnover yet.
I don't think so. Well, we have some
One
turnovers,
turnover.
but they've gotten them back.
Yeah, Del Rico threw one away.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's the only turnover that DC have.
I only have 2 marked here for the Phoenix. But we've had we've had a sort of stagnant offense going on today. Now we have Marquez back out on O. Quinn Hunziker, Paul Klimkowski, Nicky Spiva, Oak Nelson, Sean Mott, and Will Honey. So we have kind of the taller aspect of the Phoenix O. Paul Klimkowski being double-teamed.
Nice
Crossfield to Nicky Spiva with a nice looping backhand. And there is a little bit of a cup zone going on. There, actually, it's really Klimkowski's mark poaching the lane. Oak Nelson with a ripper to Marquez Brown, who's going to reel that in.
Puts on the Jets.
Buddy. Puts on the afterburners and pulls it down. Number 3 for Marquez. And Oak's first assist of the game.
I think a lot of people forget that Marquez is easily one of the fastest players in the league.
Absolutely.
Aside from the fact that he can jump really high as well.
Yeah, and of course, because of his length, he may not be quite as quick on those first 3 steps off the dime, but by 5 or 6, he will get you. And that instance, even though that disc was for just a nanosecond, I was a little worried Oak put too much on it. But then you saw the disc was slowing down just a little, and Marquez was still speeding up. So that was nice to see. And Nick Spiva with the pull now. Scott Jew. We have Eric Nardelli, Greg Martin, Doug Roman, Casey Startzel, and Sting out there. Jeff Wodach getting open here on the near side.
That's Zach Norbaum with the disc in the middle.
And the inside D is looking sharp again. We've got a double team on the mark. And people running around pretty quickly getting off the line. Steve Ing taking away the lane. Wodach comes back in the middle for it.
Nice cut from Lloyd Blake there to free up space for Norbaum. It's number 34, Joe Freund with the disc. He's going to let one rip.
Lady flick that's out there easily.
It's Freund to Monroe.
For the goal. DC is looking every bit like the number 2 seed in the East tonight. But the Phoenix are here to play, and I know they're not going to give an inch. Oak Nelson, Marquez Brownlee, Ryan Brown, Paul Klimkowski, Nick Spiva, Will Honey, and Sean Michael Mott on offense. The Breeze are running out to the field on the goals to keep that momentum up and the energy.
Looks like we're going to have Brian Marshall with the pull here.
I think one of the things I'm seeing here today is a newfound respect for this Phoenix team from the Breeze, because having lost here once and seeing what they did the last 2 weeks, they have come prepared to play. Nick Spiva at the 25, looking downfield. Marquez crossing to the sideline, heading deep, a little ripper in the middle to Will Honey. Right through the middle to Oak Nelson, over to the side. Marquez, the offense is getting open here. Sean Mott, Oak Nelson is all alone. Mott waits, which was good. Swings to Nicky, to Paul Klimkowski. Klimkowski with a nice flick to Nick Spiva, right between 2 defenders, who pops it to Oak Nelson. Very nice workman-like goal. Nick Spiva to Oak Nelson to finish it off.
Beautiful offense there. It's a great way to use both sides of the field. Get it back into the middle and find the open guy in the end zone.
I think that's the first entirely smooth quick point we've seen from them tonight.
Yeah.
It was nice. And, you know, it's only going to get better as they find their groove. Glenn Poole holding the disc with Aaron Roberts out there now. Eric Nardelli, Ryan Forster. We have Ken Wells again and Matt Esser as well out there on D. And Colin Kokanash. The disc is up and coming down at about the 10, maybe 13.
Kolek dishes to Blake. Takes off.
Ryan Forster hot on his trail.
It's Kerrigan with the disc in the middle to number 45.
Jeff Wodach.
Yep.
Oops, that's a
Whoa.
little travel there. Yeah, we're gonna get definitely gonna get a travel there.
Yeah, and Kolick isn't denying it. He
No,
knows
he's
exactly what
smiling.
he did.
Said, what? I stumbled. I took an extra couple and then I let her rip. Ryan Forster and he having a pretty good laugh, drying off that disc, bringing it back to the 30, and Ryan letting him go upstream, but upfield rather, but not to the middle. Aaron Roberts, there seems to be a force home here, force away for the Phoenix rather, forcing to the DC sideline. And they're down to the 15 here with a flick. Oh! Nice effort.
It's Lloyd Blake to Zach Norbum for the score.
And Kokanash gets horizontal a little bit, Colin, to go after that just to make them work for it. They'll get closer on those. So we're at 9-6, and once again, Ryan Brown, Oak Nelson, Nick Spiva, Marquez, Paul Klimkowski, Sean Mott, and Will Honey out on offense.
We're going to have Del Rico Johnson with the pull here. These past couple pulls haven't really been all that good.
Ooh, just out of bounds and coming back in very nicely at about the 15 where it settles down. Paul Klimkowski to Nick Spiva, and everybody else is moving upfield. So back to Paul. Oak Nelson on the sideline. Paul with a fake to the middle. Marquez is all alone on the far sideline, but Nick hasn't seen him yet. Goes instead in the middle to Sean Mott, who comes up to Oak Nelson. Will Honey looking for it, but not getting it. Right to Sean. Nice little flick stall throw there from Oak Nelson. Sean with a little pop scoober over the top.
It's actually tipped, that scoober.
It was, yeah. Oak Nelson. Will Honey going back to be his dump should he need it, but instead to Spiva in the middle. Back to the 27. Oak Nelson.
Wow. Marcus Thal with the bid there.
And Marquez Brownlee at the 31. Looking long. Ryan Brown coming back. Nick Spiva instead. And going up again. I don't know if he's going to get that.
Oh!
Very close. Very close. Could not quite get a finger underneath that. And give Nick
Wow.
that.
Nice layout grab there from number 21, John
Got
Agan.
a timeout on the DC sideline. Daryl Stanley calling the timeout right in Stacy Spencer's ear to make sure she got it, and she insisted, and made the noise. So we have first timeout for DC.
Yeah, and Marquez is beating himself up on that one. He knows he should have had it. He's upset with himself for sure.
Yeah, I think if he had laid just a second sooner instead of after trying for the catch. It's nice, though, to know that when you hit the ground, you're going to slide and not stick. You know, you could jam shoulders, wrists, and God knows what else if you land badly on dry grass. But today, after that rain, everybody feels pretty loose.
And this time out by the breeze is part of that newfound respect we were talking about for the Phoenix. Is Darryl, I got to think, figures he has to take advantage of these turns before they're not going to be as frequent as they have been in the past.
I think you're right. Steve Leinert just making the observation that the turnover by the Phoenix a little more rare than in past games. So DC making sure they get to capitalize here, making sure they have the line they want in there. Rowan O'Donnell staying back middle as one of the swings. The disc coming in on our sideline. Scotty Zhu will mark the thrower. Stephen Ng will be on his closest swing.
That's Zach Norbum with the disc and Alan Kolick in the middle there for his dump.
Casey Startzell over on O'Donnell. And a very lofty.
Wow.
Oh, nice grab.
Alan Kolick's sky sting there. He's got a couple inches on him, too, so no surprise.
But he was lucky to keep that in bounds while he did that. Matt Esser tries to get a hand on that disc and gets underneath Kerrigan, who trips over him and takes the spill, but also gets the 10 yards contact to the Phoenix 5.
Oh.
for an easy goal into number 10,
It's Matthew Kerrigan
who does a little kick spike.
to Tyler Monroe with the goal.
Doug Roman for the catch, and all of a sudden, we're up 3 breaks at 10-6.
That timeout working out for DC there.
Yep. Yeah, and they're feeling pretty good. Glenn Poole coming out to try and keep people motivated on the Phoenix sideline. And Sean Mott going back to play some O again with Nick Spiva and Marquez and Will Honey and Oak Nelson, Paul Klimkowski and Ryan Brown. Phoenix with both their timeouts left, and we're not quite halfway through the second quarter.
That's Barton Steen with another big pull. Looks like this one's going to stay in bounds easily.
Oak Nelson at the 2, taking it on one knee just to make sure. Nick Spiva up to Will Honey. Paul Klimkowski behind him. Oh!
Wow.
Sean Mott saying he was stripped.
It looks like the DC player agreeing with him on that one.
Which would be an integrity call.
Yeah, it's David
And
Shields
we get
with the
that,
integrity
David
call.
Shields, yep. As well as contact. So we're getting 10 for the Phoenix. Sean thanking his marker for that. And faking a big wind-up backhand, but instead swinging to Paul Klimkowski on the far sideline. Nicky Spiva trying to get back. Again, that footing a little dicey as you put on the brakes and try and change direction. Everybody taking their little teeny-weeny steps. Oak Nelson up high to grab that. Right in the middle to Sean Mott again. Briefly double-teamed and pops it over the top to Nick Spiva, who's putting it in for Oak Nelson.
Wow.
With a nice grab at the 1 and an easy drop in the end zone to Ryan Brown. Oak Nelson, I think he just read that better than anybody. The other 2 guys were there, but they went up a hair early and couldn't quite get to it. You got to give Spiva credit for that.
Oh, yeah. Great throw by Spiva
For
there.
the throw, too, to get it up that high.
Phoenix defense hasn't really gotten a lot of pressure on the Breeze offense yet, so they have an opportunity here to ratchet it up, maybe start laying out a little bit more, maybe harder marks, maybe double teaming them a little bit, maybe force them into some.
Steve talking about the pressure on the DC offense by the Phoenix hasn't really been there so far, but we're looking to have that come back. We've got Greg Martin with a pull that's going out of bounds and will thus be bricked at the 20-yard line. For you ultimate novices, the brick is where the disc is placed on an out-of-bounds pull, giving an advantage to the offense. It goes center field at the 20. Is it still 25 in regular old Ultimate, or is it at the 20?
It's a good question.
It used to be at the 30 back in the day.
It's Monroe with the disc.
Jeff Wodach in the middle. Casey Startzel giving him a good mark, working him over. Stephen Eng.
Ron McDonald up to Monroe.
My apologies for calling him O'Donnell.
Kolick over to Norbum. Good roll there.
Oh, and an air bounce that Scotties you only just saw. Matt Esser came back and delicately tried over the top but couldn't quite get to it.
Kolick with a big backhand all the way over to Freund.
That was supposed to be a goal but tailed into the regular playing field. And Rowan O'Donnell with a nice bladey shot over the top.
To a wide open Lloyd Blake. I mean, I think the pressure there from the Phoenix D is starting to pick up a little bit, but, you know, you need more against this high-powered DC offense.
And DC is moving the disc so quickly, nobody's holding it for more than a 2 or 3 count, which really doesn't give the Phoenix time to catch up or set up anything. So that fluidity on DC's offense is really what's keeping them ahead of things right now.
Yeah.
The Phoenix can keep seeing some of those lanes to shut down and preventing the next throw, you know, look ahead to what they want to do and step in the way of that stuff. They may be able to slow it down.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up, the quick, fluid movements of the DC offense because in a lot of these points in comparison, the Phoenix's offense isn't looking quite as fluid or as quick.
Right, as it has even in past weeks.
Yeah, you see DC coming out with this poachy, junky kind of zone here. Good team defense.
That being said, the Phoenix are moving it nicely now as Glenn Poole brings it into Klimkowski over to Ryan Brown. And Quinn Hunziker asking a little bit, too much of Marquez Brownlee, who decides to come inside Delrico Johnson and underreads the disc. So a turnover. I have to give that to Marquez for a misread because Quinn basically hung it up and said, you take it over the shorter guy. But Marquez misread it and came in a little too far.
And there's a forced throw right into the hands of Sean Mott.
Sean Mott. Might as well give him the D on that, even though he didn't have to do anything but stand there. But that was a very nice headsy thing to be in the play on.
Spiva catches his man sleeping, burns him up line.
And he's asking people to get into the end zone. The Phoenix seem to be standing around a little. I think partly this O-line is tired. Marquez snatches one away from Delrico Johnson over to Glenn Poole to Ryan Brown. Nicely done on that one, fellas. And Marquez was not having that. He just snatched that thing away. Excuse me. So we have Glenn Poole into Ryan Brown. And down to a 3-goal deficit again.
Phoenix D needs to get hungry fast if they want to, make some progress, gain some steps here in this game.
Got Matt Esser and Ryan Forster, Oak Nelson, Kenny Wells, Colin Kokonash, and Aaron Roberts out there, and Eric Nardelli. Kokonash forcing it as a swing instead of an upfield. Wodats with Aaron Roberts on him.
Up to Rowan McDonald. Up again to Tyler Monroe. He's going to flick one deep.
And Oak Nelson just missed that for another easy goal for the Breeze. Take it to 12-8. Sean Michael Mott, Ryan Brown, Marquez Brownlee, Paul Klimkowski. We have the big fella, Will Honey, and Nick Spiva. And
Glenn Poole.
Is that Glenn Poole? Is he rocking a little facial hair now from his trip?
Yeah, he's got a little beard going.
I think he does, yeah.
Barton Steen with another big pull.
Looks like Glenn is going to take it at the goal line. Up to Paul Klimkowski at the 16. Back over to Glenn, who's looking for Paul. Made it look like he was going to Nick Spiva. And Glenn knows how to find those gaps in the middle and stop moving so he can get the disc. Up to Sean, to Paul, over to Marquez, who's looking right back to Paul, who fakes in the middle and drops it to Glenn Poole. Back up to Marquez Brownlee. At the 20 with a big cross-field backhand for Ryan Brown.
Oh!
What a layout catch by Ryan Brown. Back to Nick Spiva, who's looking for Ryan to take it. Glenn Poole dumps to Will Honey instead. Nick Spiva to Ryan Brown, and there it is.
Ryan Brown, he earned that point.
He sure did. Nick Spiva with his third assist to Ryan Brown's third goal. And that was an important one that Ryan Brown not give up on, because another turn and goal would have started to be a little out of reach. But we're back to 3 here, which is definitely doable for the Phoenix. No, I wouldn't wait till late in the 4th to try. I'd want to just peck away at that. Get one here and one there. Ryan Brown. Wow, yes. What a great one-handed layout grab. And again, reduced danger with the wetness of the field. We're starting to see a little cloud cover from the west, but doesn't look like any serious rain action yet. It's another reason we're going to have a shortened half. We hear there are systems to the west of us.
Zach Norbom picking up the pull. He's going to center it to Monroe.
Big pull into the end zone.
Right over to Kolick. Over to Rowan McDonald.
Lady flick. Rowan trying to step inside Gosh and Kokinosh to get that up. Oh. Travel on Rowan McDonald taking the 10.
Was that a gentleman J there, Bailey?
Kokinosh, I don't know if it was the gentleman J so much as just a slippy step or two.
Oh!
Greg Martin just went a millisecond too soon on that. And a big floaty crossfield to Rowan McDonald, who's looking end zone. Fakes the flick, fakes the backhand. Fakes several flicks. Oh! It's a lady thing too close that gets dropped by number 99.
Alan Kolick.
Right to Scotty Zhu from Stephen Eng.
You have to capitalize
Big
here if you're the
opportunity
Phoenix here.
This is one of these things the Phoenix cannot afford not to do if they want to get back close in this game. And we have the first Phoenix timeout.
There you go.
Well done, Eileen Murray. She knows she's got two. There's 1:39 left. She still has one at crunch time on the goal line if she needs it. But this is, again, as Steve pointed out for DC on their timeout, a sign of respect for a very good team, and I think a call to arms by Eileen Murray to make sure her offense puts it in the end zone on this point. And we know Steve Leinert is about to blast that horn after he goes into 30-second mode on the clock, where anything that goes out of bounds stops the clock, and any timeout call that comes back in after 30 seconds actually gets the clock starting on the first throw, the release of the first throw, not when the ref blows it in. So we're staying with Mott, Sting, Scotty Zhu, Nick Spiva, Will Honey, and Ryan Brown on the field. We have Paul Klimkowski and Scott Zhu getting clear what they're going to do. Scott's going to have the disc. Paul is his dump. And we have Sting on the far sideline as a long swing and a three-man vert stack, if you can call it that, cheated to the far side a little. Guys cutting to the near side, so Sting gets a wide open thing from Ryan Brown. Comes back to Scott Zhu. Comes in the middle to Sean Mott. We're down to 125 to Mott. Looking around. Nice flick over to Spiva. Comes in the middle to Will Honey, who's checking the end zone, thinking Scoober, but goes instead with an easy backhand to Stephen Eng. Very nice.
Yeah, that's a huge break there for the Phoenix.
It is. It gets them within two just before the half, and it's got DC coming off the field slowly. And that's nice to see because DC has looked really great, and yet the Phoenix refused to go away.
Yeah.
So I think in days of yore, DC would probably have a 4 or 5 goal lead at this point. But the Phoenix are hanging in. Yes, that's right. Yeah, the deja vu is coming for the Breeze. That's what Steve's saying here. From that first game they played up here, where they could not quite get away. And, of course, they led, as I said, for the entire game until the last possession. And that was the one that counted. A nice little pull there. I think
that was Matt Esser on the pull.
Matt Esser on the pull to the 15. Aaron Roberts.
Little zone here from the Phoenix. Little three-man cup.
Up front, yep.
Yeah.
Making them work. And DC breaks it to make the Phoenix work to get over in front of them again. Now they got a few too many behind the play, but they're back on it. Aaron Roberts and Kokinosh there, and just past Sean in the middle. DC again with this rhythmic
off to the
offense
races.
That is just too good.
That's Lloyd
Too
Blake.
easy.
Lloyd Blake over to Matthew Kerrigan for the goal.
But they do leave 40 seconds for the Phoenix on the clock. And Eileen Murray still has that last timeout.
Absolutely.
So she is going to be near a ref, I'm sure, on the sideline.
Big O-line out here for the
It
Phoenix.
sure is, with Marquez and Will. And you got Scott Zhu for the quick inside cutting, Glenn Poole, Ryan Brown, Nick Spiva, and Paul Klimkowski, who seems to be getting a lot more time lately. Paul's been on the field almost every offensive point here today, and very steady and important in the middle. I know one cat in our audience who will really enjoy hearing that and seeing all the playing time he's getting. And he will over to Paul, and it almost looked like it went behind him. Paul stopped easily in time to get it. Nick Spiva back to the 7. The big flick over here to Ryan Brown, who has
Nice
to land
grab.
again to catch it, but does.
Oh!
And Nick mishandles that. That is just a drop.
Immediately, DC calls a timeout.
Right, DC calls a timeout with 18 seconds left. And this is one of those instances where the clock will not start until the first throw is released, because it was on a called timeout, which is one of the reasons you save one for this last 30-second spot. So now, instead of getting to see whether the Phoenix can put it in on O, I know Nick wants that thing back too. It hit him in the hands a little too quickly, and it did one of those flip spins to the earth. But DC is going to be starting at the Phoenix 27-28. And so what we're going to see is if the Phoenix can hold them off for 18 seconds.
Daryl's known for coming out of these timeouts with set plays, especially in the horizontal stack. So look for a 1 or 2 pass goal shot here.
Steve Leinert just letting us know that Daryl is known for coming out of these situations with a one shot on a vertical stack that they. What did he say? Oh, okay. Right. Yeah, I think the drizzle may be starting up out there again.
We have Sean Mott on the mark, covering Alan Kolick. That's an interesting matchup.
And he's just forcing this sideline. Very good D by Greg Martin there.
They're able to stop the first look.
And the second one, now, number 10 just took another half step up line. I don't think that was legal at all. Once he stood still.
Ooh. That's Alan Kolick to Rowan McDonald for the score.
5 seconds left. So there will be a pull and a huck and bomb. We hope. We're not sure what's going to happen with that. We do have some cloud cover moving in, but it's still pretty high. 6 seconds. He's asking for 6 seconds on the clock. And we're going to get that put up right now. Letting him know that we got you. Thank you, J.B. Harrington. Sean Mott, Will Honey, Paul Klimkowski, Quinn Hunziker, Marquez, Nick Spiva, and Oak Nelson. So a couple of substitutions, but your core O-line's still out there. This halftime break is going to come at a propitious time for us to reinstall windows and stuff, just against the odd chance of some more weather.
Delrico Johnson with the pull.
And Paul Klimkowski with the reception at the 1. Up to Nick, and he goes too high, but Nick comes down and gets it, and the disc is up. It's tapped. It's still up. Oh,
wow.
Oh, Marquez made a good effort to try and tap that into Will Honey, but could not quite get it to him. And instead, it's reined in by a Breeze player in the end zone.
Yeah, it's number 11, Joe Richards.
So we're left with a 10-14 halftime score. And once again, Phoenix find themselves trailing a very good DC Breeze team who has brought their entire roster here. We have a 10-minute half. we're looking at some weather coming in around 9 is what we're hearing. It's in about an hour, which we should be able to get to. Some high clouds right now. We'll have to see. It's going to be nip-tuck. I think, you know, we're going to get enough of it for it to be an official game, but we may even cut the space between third and fourth quarters down if we have to do that. So bear with us, ladies and gentlemen, as we kind of wing this according to the weather. J.B. Harrington conferring with Steve Leinert on the clock right now. We're going to get some commercials in for you from our lovely sponsors here at the AUDL and all around, and Friction Gloves and so on and so forth. And we'll see you all in about 8 minutes and 50 seconds. Thanks so much. Stay tuned.
So this piece with Eric is amazing to me. It's right in line with what we think is critical for kids, and that is to know their bodies.
The kids have really gotten into having speakers here that aren't just their teachers.
And I think the clinicians did a fantastic job. All the kids were engaged, none of them were distracted. They seemed to get into it right away.
I just want to reach out to Eric and tell him, you know, thank you for coming and sharing the message that our kids can speak up. Early recognition is critical, and I look forward to doing more things with Eric in the future.
It's been great for us as a staff and for our students to experience the message you guys have, and highly recommend it for any school that has the opportunity.
Yeah, I loved that you guys talk about cancer awareness, and it's more about body awareness and knowing their own bodies.
And I think Eric is a wonderful way to bring this into school. You come with a complete program.
The information is good. It's presented in a very professional way. The instructors do an excellent job.
I think the kids overall had a great time. I can see from their responses that they want us to get some more Ultimate Discs in the school, and that we'll be playing all the way into the spring and summer.
We really appreciated you coming out. We love the message you guys send.
Yeah, thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Eric, for coming out to the Pittsburgh area. It's a great experience for our kids.
Thank you for sharing your message with the kids. We really appreciate the energy that you've brought, and I really encourage anybody else who might be interested in this program to bring them on in.
Dallas takes possession, looking for the tie. And it was tipped off the hands of Chris Larberg and caught by Zach
right to Greg Martin, gives him the reward. Greg Martin with the D. Scotty Drew with the quick assist back to Greg Martin.
Have really gotten into having speakers here that aren't just their teachers.
And I think the clinicians did a fantastic job. All the kids were engaged, none of them were distracted. They seemed to get into it right away.
I just want to reach out to Eric and tell him, you know, thank you for coming and sharing the message that our kids can speak up. Early recognition is critical, and I look forward to doing more things with Eric in the future.
been great for us as a staff and for our students to experience the message you guys have.
Bust it up to Marquez.
Out
Greg Martin. Oh, goodness! Oh, my goodness!
Yeah, I love that you guys talk about and it's more about body awareness and knowing.
Right to Greg Martin, gives him the reward. Greg Martin with the D. Scotty Shu with the quick assist back to Greg Martin.
Usually with the side stack, you like to see the cut off the open side shut down into that lane. Then there's some flooding action. Somebody comes from the other side.
Right.
There was some stagnation over here.
Looking deep, we have a nice tip D. There it is from Charles Cannon. Phoenix, Charlie Patton looking to pick that up at 7. He does, he waits, gives his dump out to the man who got the D and who shoots him the goal. Possessions, 2 Ds by Eric Nardelli. Oh, going deep. He's got a big flick, big backhand wrap from Scotty Shu. It is pulled in for the goal. Looks to Ryan, but he is unmarked and it's unstalled. Oh! Oh! Over John Wodach, boom, in the end zone. That is a hell of a play for Sean Mott, ladies and gentlemen. And that is an end zone shot, all ball, as we say. And that is well read and caught for the goal from Nick Spiva. Nice hammer. Really didn't need anyone else. Yeah, and Marquez read that pretty well perfectly. He dropped it in the bucket there. Oh, and a layout catch. Was that ball Kwiatkowski? I think it was. With a layout D catch and then an instant goal pretty much near Callahan. It really was. He was right near the goal line and the goal was to Will Hope. From Sam Taylor. Jake Price down first on D. Scotty Shu just busted up to Marquez, who is out for Greg Martin. Oh, goodness! Oh, my goodness! Greg Martin is behind the ladder. What you call the old VL, ladies and gentlemen, the vertical leap from Marquez Brownlee to a skying Greg Martin. So that was Conrad Schlor he got there on that play. But my oh my, I really thought he went early when I saw him go up.
Me too. I thought he
just hung out there until the disc came. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Bailey Saul, your host this afternoon with Sean Dacey. The former coach Steve Leinert on clock up here, kibitzing with us and chatting during the game. We have Pat Gariantes in the booth next to me with Mark Sands on the camera. Sean's mom, who is a terrific photographer, has been documenting some of the work today in the booth. We hope to have a little of that up for you. We're looking at the Phoenix on O No, I beg your pardon. Getting ready to throw as they did in the first quarter. I thought I was seeing some O-line out there, but it's Marquez, Scott Zhu, Eric Nardelli, and Casey Startzel, Stephen Ing, Greg Martin about to pull, and Doug Roman. And DC is ready to go.
Usual suspects here on the DCO line. Got Kolick, Freund, Wodach, Blake,
Greg
Norbum.
Martin with a nice pull into the wind to get to the 17.
That's Blake in the center there.
Little Scoober over the top. Oh,
whoa.
Man, a drop disc. Another shot here for the Phoenix. Real quick, Scott Zhu looking for Stephen Ing in the middle to Greg Martin. Martin with a dump to Casey Startzel. Fakes that backhand and instead goes to Scott Zhu, who Doug Roman rides it and takes it at just the right moment. Throws it deep,
wow.
but gets it D'd.
Looks like there might be a call.
Doug Roman on that. There should be, I think, some contact.
Yep.
Yes, there is going to be contact on number 14 against Eric Nardelli. Nardelli certainly thought there should be. They're having a discussion with J.B. Harrington. It is going to remain Phoenix disc, and it's going to the middle on the goal line. I think that's a good call, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, I'm rooting for the home team, but still. We'll get a chance to see that on replay here in a minute, I'm pretty sure. Oh, and he does. Oh, Greg Martin, thank you, leaving no doubt from Eric Nardelli's little air bounce into the end zone there.
Great way to start the second half of the Phoenix. Coming out with a nice, quick break.
That was Eric Nardelli with the assist to Greg Martin. And there we have the 14th point for DC and the 11th for the Phoenix. We are now again down to a 3-goal lead for DC. Matt Esser holding the disc, ready to pull, with Ryan Forster, Oak Nelson, Aaron Roberts, Glenn Poole, Greg Martin. And at the far end, that is, of course, Colin Kokanash. Matt Esser with a nice rip downwind going to the 10.
Spartanstein in the center there at the disc.
Again, the Phoenix taking away a bunch of lanes here. Delrico Johnson has to slide and get down to catch that.
Oh!
Oh, no! Ryan Forster had a shot at that, but the next player throws it away anyhow.
It's 22. Brian Marshall throwing that one away.
With the turnover, and Matt Esser going to pick it up at the 7. Interesting how they still tap it in. Old habits die hard. Greg Martin with a nice shot up the sideline to Kokanash, who comes back to get it wisely because Delrico Johnson was about to take that away. Over to Ryan Forster from Kenny Wells. Kenny's trying to get through the D there. Oak Nelson in the middle. Aaron Roberts in the middle. Nice shot up. Oh,
wow.
Back to Oak Nelson. Just barely got by there. And Oak with a nice shot to Aaron Roberts, who goes down to get it and gets another one to Matt Esser, who goes down to get it. Thinks about a Scoober. Dumps instead to Ryan Forster, who puts it over to the 1.
That's Colin.
Kokanash with Delrico
contact
Johnson
there.
Getting the contact. Going to be centering it on the goal line since it was inside the 10. And Ryan Forster will be the dump.
This is huge right now for the Philadelphia Phoenix.
An uncovered dump, and he gets it. Goes back to Kokanash. And
there
back
you go.
to Forster for the goal. Very nice between 34 and 35. And a really critical cashing in of one of those turnovers. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back to 2. The Philadelphia Never Say Die Phoenix, who are staying in this after a 4-goal halftime deficit, have cut it to 2 with not 3 minutes gone yet in the third quarter. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, after that first point was scored, this game became official. So if we have to quit for weather, and that would take lightning most likely, or such torrential downpours that everyone broke and ran, the game would be official. We understand there is 100% chance of rain by 9 o'clock in this area, and everything around us looks totally stormy. Disc comes down at the 15.
Great coverage by Sting there.
Gives a chance for the Phoenix to cover up everybody. Sean Mott making himself a nuisance. On number 14, but
Roe McDonald in the middle.
Rowan gets rid of that just before he's called for travel.
Yeah.
Because he was running.
Uh-oh.
Rowan is hasn't to track these things down. He puts a big flick out. Stephen Ing against the taller
Good
opponent,
body.
and they both go up, and the disc goes down. There is no contact ruled. Another
Wow.
turn and another chance for the Phoenix.
Sting with a great box out there on Alan Kolick.
That was good. It was just a little too much air on that disc. Sting got a chance to get inside him and get under him.
Hey, knowing the weather, do you take a time out here?
It's possible, but oh, and Sting
maybe they
throws
should
it
have.
away. No, that was Scott Jew. I beg your pardon.
The old coach in me.
Scott Jew throws it away for an easy, quick turnaround for DC.
I believe that was Kolick to number 14, Lloyd Blake, for the goal.
That's too bad. I know Scotty wants that back. He put something up that was just a little too dicey. And DC got their hands on that.
I mean, if you're the Phoenix, though, you can't get your head down here. You came out of the half firing on all cylinders.
No, not at all. Not at all. You got Glenn Poole and Quinn Hunziker in with Ryan Brown, Paul Klimkowski, and Nick Spiva, and Sean Mott and Will Honey. So this is a line with some good experience on the handling side, some speed and length in Hunziker, Brown, Honey. Ready to go out and get a goal here. Disc is up and coming down outside the 20. Close to the 30, really. It goes out of bounds at about the 27. Dan Muraski is marking that, or I'm sorry, Joe Campbell marking that on the far side.
Paulie Klimkowski going to center it. My guess is he looks for Nicky Spiva here off the start.
Oh.
And we have a whistle.
Oh, back. Paul is cheating up 2 steps onto the 30. He needed to be at the 26 and a half, 27. And the ref's making sure that everybody is where they're supposed to be. Paul puts a big floater up that Del Rico Johnson gets a hand on. We're going to give Del Rico a D on that, and Paulie a little bit of a half turn for just something that was a little too floaty. And Will Honey covering up Del Rico Johnson. Nick Spiva didn't see that, or he might have had a hand on it. Oh, Paul Klimkowski thought about getting a horizontal for that. Oh!
Ooh. Yeah, a little bit of contact.
We're going to get some contact with... I can't see if that's Kokonash or...
That's Spiva on the mark.
Spiva, okay.
Oh, great hand block by Spiva.
Get a hand block on that. Good show. No contest from DC, so the Phoenix get the disc back. Up to Sean Mott, who is uncovered, and puts up a giant flick to Quinn Hunziker, a backhand to Quinn Hunziker, who reels it in inside the end zone. Nice play, Pensbury connection.
Wow.
Sean Mott, big backhand. And Hunziker, he just made that look so easy. Again, it looked like, and then he goes, wait, let me milk this a half step further for the goal.
Yeah.
None of this catching it at the 1 stuff. We're back down to 2.
Notice Quinn did not go with his arms.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, Steve Leinert teasing Sean once again. Did not go with his hands. Sean did sort of that alligator catch that Florida Gator fans like to do. He put both arms outstretched and sort of was going to pancake it when he did it too late as he put his foot on the back line.
Let's see if the Phoenix D can come out here, get another break.
Matt Esser with a nice pull to the 10. Rowan McDonald on the far side. Centers it. Oh, Aaron Roberts.
It's Matthew Kerrigan with the disc.
Wanted a piece of that. Ryan Forster with the big wingspan.
Back in the middle to Kolick.
Esser is on him immediately. Kolick pushing him away with the disc. I think if I'm Matt Esser, I'm asking for a little contact on
Oh.
Eric Nardelli trying to get inside Rowan McDonald and doesn't quite manage it. Rowan with a very sweet flick for the goal over Ken Wells, who just really, all due respect to Ken, he had no shot at that because the throw was so nice. Fading down in. Our team, George and Carol, just brought us our late halftime repast, which we will not eat in your ears, much as we are tempted to.
No sushi today, Bailey.
No sushi, no. I left it at home.
Ah.
Ate it last night, actually. Did not get by there today. Was too busy working. We are back up to 3 with that DC goal. But, oh, a nice backhand that's going to be a roller and stays
nice
in bounds.
roll.
That is a nice roll. Paulie at the 15. Across to Nick Spiva at the 19. Coming to Sean Mott here on the near side at the 30. Sean is looking at Marquez Brownlee deep, and why would you not? Glenn Poole over to Paul Klimkowski. Ryan Brown coming back, but not far enough to get the disc. And there's Marquez all the way back to get it with a nice backhand up to Nick Spiva. Back to Marquez. And he fakes over the top, comes underneath to Paul. Over to Ryan Brown, looking for Marquez again. Marquez is everywhere on this field.
Yeah, he's drawing 2-3 defenders with him everywhere he goes.
Paul Klimkowski out front of Sean Mott, who has room to pull it in. And little floaty backhand to Will Honey.
Wide open.
At the 4.
There you go.
Oh,
no.
Oh, no.
Nicky
Will
Spiva
Honey,
drops
Nicky
another
Spiva
one.
Just plain old drops that. His 4th turn of the game. That's critical in the end zone, too.
Yeah.
Come on, boys. Get this back. Sean Mott on D. We've got an open thrower here, but Spiva jumping in front of him and then trying to cut off the swing. Now he's keeping him trapped on the sideline, but there's always a man up higher, it seems, for DC. Why are all these receivers so wide open?
Yeah, this O-line just looks drained. The O-line from
Yeah.
the Phoenix, that is.
Yeah, they are. They are. They've been putting in a lot of time. Big swing across the field. Marquez is on him instantly. And Ryan Brown in the middle. Now we've got Sean Mott and Paul Klimkowski in the middle. They're picking up men as they come out of the dump area.
A lot of switching from the
And
Phoenix
we have a
defense.
whistle just as that throw goes up. And that is going back. Either a travel or a pick.
I think it was a pick call.
Yeah. I'm thinking so too. Dan Moraski marking where the disc wants to be. Ryan Brown on D at the 33. Let's see if the Phoenix can get another shot at taking this down.
Nice backhand break.
Yeah, and Will Honey forcing him to go down to the ground. Too easy to the 4. Paul Klimkowski checking the lanes. Making sure he knows what he has to shut down. DC back to the 15. And a put into the end zone easily for the goal.
It's number 30, David Bloodgood. Over to, I think that might have been Bartenstein.
He's still walking in down there. That's him just coming in across the end line.
Oh, no, that's number 80.
Yes.
Troy Holland with his first goal of the day.
There we go. So DC escapes that one and gets the lead back up to 4.
That's tough, too. You get the disc right on the end zone. The throw is there. Your player's in position, and just an unforced error in the end zone.
Yeah, that's a coach's nightmare.
And to make things worse, you have the DC offense just grind all the way up the field.
Right, the entire length of the field.
And just wear your O-line out completely. That's a tough point there for Phoenix.
And now Scotty Zhu, Casey Startzel, Matt Esser, Quinn Hunsaker, Oak Nelson, Stephen Ing, and Greg Martin on O. A very different O-line than what we've seen. And I think that's simply because the regular line has been out so long, they really need a breather.
Yeah.
Stephen Ing faking right-handed, throwing left to Scotty Zhu.
The DC Breeze have been consistent with this poachy zone that they've been running. They do it for, at least 5 looks just to disrupt that opening play that the Phoenix want to do.
Oh!
Uh-oh.
And Greg Martin, I think, either misstepped, he was just falling down. Casey Startzel had a nice throw there, but Greg Martin tripped. I'm not going to give anyone a turn on that because it was the field.
Great double team there by Greg Martin.
DC with the disc again, unfortunately.
Oh, there's a little Blady. Blady throw to Marcus Thal.
And that is just caught by Rowan McDonald.
Rowan's been putting in work,
steps,
but
Delrico Johnson dropped something that was just a little too quick and short from Rowan McDonald. And Scott Zhu and Oak Nelson on the near sideline. Oak fakes that upfield flip.
Get a wide open Matt Esser over there. He's wide open.
Oh!
Instead he goes for Casey Startzel.
And Casey faking the backhand. Scott Zhu now looking upfield, not seeing his dump on the other side.
Yeah, he needs to see that he has 2 dumps.
He needs to see the whole field there. There you go.
Attaboy.
Stephen Ing. And
no cuts from the Phoenix.
Stephen Ing with a big flick up front.
Wow.
Yes. Nice catch by Matt Esser. Reaching over the D and popping an easy backhand into Oak Nelson. Thank you, Matt Esser, for hanging in that play. Matt Esser with another assist. And Oak Nelson with his second goal. And we're back to 3, ladies and gentlemen. 14-17.
Not going away.
Not going away. Not going away.
Yeah, Breeze are making them work. They're making their earn these points. Nothing is coming easy here for the Philadelphia Phoenix.
That's for sure. Not today. Too good a team.
Here we have Marquez with the pull. Eric Nardelli, Colin Kochinash, Glenn Poole, Sean Mott, Aaron Roberts, and Doug Roman coming down on D. Kolick's going to catch the centering pass. Covered by Mott again. Has to go to his dump. Lloyd Blake.
5 yards in the end zone. This is nice to see. Now it's the Phoenix who are making him work, and a big backhand.
I don't think so.
Upfield that's not going to get caught.
Nope.
Good call, Sean Dacey.
You got to capitalize here.
So once again, the Phoenix with a chance to tighten it up.
Wow. Kolick diving for that one. Can't get it.
Sean Mott faking the deep pull.
Ooh.
Yes.
Good grab by Doug Roman.
And big contact over the back.
Oh, no, I think it was a timeout.
There that's called.
Phoenix timeout there.
There should have been contact as well.
Minute 24 here left in the third.
J.B. Harrington is going to say, take it up 10. I think he's pointing upfield. Maybe not. That certainly looked like a over-the-back crushing penalty to me. .124 in the quarter. And we're hearing now that 10 o'clock is our new storm arrival time. So we're hopeful we will get the whole regulation game in here. And a lot of high cloud cover, but no obvious storm action here. The Phoenix just having a little huddle over there.
Yeah, Eileen Murray just putting in her O-line, guys. Trying to make sure they punch this one in. See Scotty Zoo going to bring the disc in with Paulie as his dump.
And we have a little sort of cluster stack over here on the near side.
Spiva's going to initiate and go deep. Scotty's going to pump it off, hit Paulie on the dump.
Up to Glenn Poole.
Have another call on the field. Maybe a travel?
Well, he's not taking any yardage.
Yeah, he's going
now he
backwards.
is. Oh, yes. Okay. You're right. Loosey-goosey pivot foot, maybe?
I guess so. Scotty doesn't seem to agree.
No. Up to Nick Spiva.
Ma with
Everybody, they're kind of making each other change directions here. Mott to Quinn.
Wow. Big shot.
Is that Ryan Forster?
That's Ryan Brown.
Ryan Brown.
Looking for a strip call, but he's not going to get it.
Well, he landed out of bounds anyway, I think. There's Dan Moraski. Lays the disc on the end line, so the DC Breeze bring it up. Sean Mott on the mark.
25 seconds left.
Big huck. We're inside that 30-second point.
Ooh.
Yep, he wants that, and he gets it. And the clock stops on the foul because
I don't know. I'm thinking if Spiva leaves his feet there, he gets that
now
D.
On the throw, it is starting again, and boom. DC with a big backhand across field, putting it to space. Glenn Poole closing.
Oh.
Oh. And Glenn's man doesn't get it, but then goes in to pull it in with 3 seconds left and take it back to 4 for the DC Breeze.
And these DC fans are ecstatic over here.
Which is, again, yet another sign of the newfound respect, I think, for the Phoenix in the East here. Because the Phoenix are not making this easy on them.
They're not making it easy for themselves either.
No, that's true too. But DC really, they are highly motivated tonight because that home playoff game is such a big thing. I mean, a first-round playoff bye would be wonderful, but I certainly would not bank on Toronto losing at home to the Empire after what happened last week here.
3 seconds left.
There's going to be a one-pump thing, and Nick Spiva is going to let it rip, and he can't do it. He gets body blocked there on the throw.
End of the third.
And with 2 minutes 30 seconds between quarters, we will once again thank our many sponsors and our owners, George Harris and Dan Silverstein, and our coaches, Diane Murray.
Eileen Murray.
Thank you. Eileen Murray, Sam Morgan, and Andrea DiSabato. I don't know where I came up with Diane. Kenny Wells is our team manager and outreach coordinator, Aaron Roberts. And, of course, the inimitable Justine Shank, our game day coordinator and manager. You can hear the replay of the horn going in the background. So we will be back in just a minute or two, folks, for the final and fourth quarter of the 2017 Philadelphia Phoenix season. We'll see you then. Me too. A flying Greg Martin watching the replay in the booth here now. He did sort of a pump up there and hung for a second. Looked like he might take it with his left, and then he caught it with the right instead. In the middle, another upwind ball, got to about 15. Nick Spiva sees Paul Klimkowski, and that is an end zone shot. All ball, as we say. All ball, all the time. Nick Spiva with a big, beautiful backhand.
And Nicky just put it out there to space and let the ball run it down. There was nothing the Empire could do about it.
And Scotty Zhu, right to Greg Martin, gives him the reward. Greg Martin with the D. Scotty Zhu with the quick assist back to Greg Martin.
Usually with the side stack, you like to see the
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, for the fourth and final quarter of the 14th and final game of the 2017 Philadelphia Phoenix season. The DC Breeze have just pulled the disc. Paul Klinkowski over to Scott Shue. Sean Mott looking for space to go, and he does. Ryan Brown coming back over to Paul Klinkowski, up to Nick Spiva. Mott coming across the field. And Rowan McDonald comes over to cover him. So they dump back to Scott Shue and back to Nick Spiva. And a big flick over to Glenn Poole, who puts a backhand to Paul Klinkowski, who just takes that away and gets bumped rather handsomely. And a late contact call from J.B. Harrington, but a good one. Takes it up to the 40, right at midfield. Paulie looking for the tap in, doesn't get it, but comes with a backhand.
Oh,
it's just plain intercepted, and that's a turn for Paul Klinkowski.
Del Rico and Bloodgood just walking it up the field.
Del Rico Johnson with a big poach D right there.
Del Rico's going to throw it to Corey Boyles for the score.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Instead of 3 now, we're at 5. And there's 11 minutes, so I'm not giving up yet.
Absolutely
not
not.
Giving up yet. But we can't be making that kind of mistake, and we got to get a few from them now. In fact, we got to get several.
Offense needs to score the disc every time they're on the field. If you can't score it, your team's not going to win. Simple as that.
It's a great philosophy. Yeah, no, it's true. And you know, this may not be the tallest O-line in the league, but there are certainly some advantages to these smaller, quicker guys and the inside cuts if they work that kind of offense. So the disc hits the ground, comes to Matt Esser, who puts it out to Stephen Eng, with Greg Martin up in front of him, and he's sort of focused.
Ooh.
Oh, Stephen Eng with just a dead-ass turnover. That's terrible. His man stumbled just a little going to that disc.
Bartenstein with the disc.
That's too bad.
He's going to flip it to Bloodgood. Greg Martin got a hand on that, but Bartenstein was still able to get it.
Oh, we have a travel. They're coming back. Coming back. And it's got to get whistled in. Right there. Good. There you go. Oak Nelson taps it in. Greg Martin poaching a lane a little bit there. Nick Spiva. Oh, Stephen Eng over the back. So we're going to get another 10 the other way.
I mean, this is just working out in DC's favor right now. They're not looking to score right away. They just want to work it and kill some time off the clock.
Yeah, kill the clock. That's what they're about right now with a 5-goal lead. If they can score after a 7-minute toss around, that's fine with them.
Yeah.
You have 9:43 left now. And DC very close to a stall on that possession.
Very patient.
Yeah.
Not forcing anything. Lots of handler movement.
Good fakes to get people out of position.
It's Holland with the disc on the sideline.
Oh, a little high, but and it settles to earth.
Over Bartenstein's head.
Greg
Phoenix
Martin
are off to the races.
with a nice flick up to Marquez.
Oak Nelson's wide open.
Nelson, and
wow.
He lets it rip. That should be all Oak.
Yep.
All Oak Nelson all the time with a beautiful throw from Marquez Brownlee for his first assist. We're back to 4. There's 1, ladies and gentlemen. That's 1.
Took them a while, but they finally punched it in.
And once again, when they got the disc, that point was very quick, very clean, which is the way they're going to need to keep scoring this half. So last week, 30 goals. This week, 15 with 9 minutes left. It's time to ramp up the scoring here for the Phoenix. But this DC team, as good as their offense is, their D is not half bad either. They've got some height. Number 36 is doing a little hinky thing with his shoulder coming off there. It looks like he might have dislocated or tweaked something. Having a little chat on the DC sideline with assistant coach Smolinski.
Scotty Zoo with the pull.
Taking a moment. Coming in at the 10. Nicely done to the 8. It's picked up.
Center to Kolick.
Aaron Brooks on him and Matt
Right to
Esser
Lloyd
on the
Blake.
side. Oh,
Kolick's taking off.
Aaron, look up. Aaron checking
Ooh.
downfield for who's there. Kenny Wells jumps up
Nice.
and tips it. Just tips it. We're going to give Kenny Wells a little teeny touch D on that, just to make it impossible to catch. Aaron Brooks scoops it up off the ground. Back to Kenny. Ooh, he almost threw it
grab.
away. Coach-a-notch. Back to Ken Wells.
Good
Back
movement
over
here from
Ryan
the Phoenix
Forster.
offense.
Yep. They're keeping it moving. Scott Jew in the middle with
Wow.
a big rip. Eric Nardelli going to pull this one in for the goal.
Is
Stay
he
in,
in?
Eric. Yeah.
Attaboy.
Beautiful.
Here come the
What a
Knicks.
Play. Scotty Jew.
Here come the
And
Knicks.
that's 2, ladies and gentlemen. Eric Nardelli. We're back down to 3. DC's thinking, who are these guys? 8:20, and they just got 2 goals on us inside a minute.
Plenty of time left.
Plenty of time. Need another couple Ds.
Yeah. I mean, if the Breeze are going to keep giving you these unforced turnovers, you got to take them. You got to score.
You sure do. And again, you know, this is one of these opportunities the Phoenix in days of old would have had to start folding. And look at that throw. It looks like it may go out of the back of the end zone, but Eric Nardelli, with the goalpost in his peripheral vision, catches it and then spikes it off the goalpost, just for good measure. Marquez, a big looping backhand.
That's
go out of
going out.
bounds. Yeah.
In the stands, maybe.
Yep. Joe Campbell looking for that.
Oh.
Goes in the steps. Disappears.
We're going to need a new Frisbee there,
I
folks.
think we'll get that sideline disc at the goalpost marker. Or the one from the other end of the field. There it is. Joe Campbell marking the spot at the 25 where it went out. And again, for you novices with Ultimate, if the disc goes out ahead of the 20-yard line, it is brought in at the spot where it went out and centered. And DC with a big backhand. Sean Mott late in the coverage. They get it down to the 3. And an easy
Ooh.
throw.
No,
Dumped
it's out.
of bounds. And opportunity number 3. Marquez picks that up in an instant. He's up at the pylon, uncovered.
Keep going.
Swings it over to Scott Jew. Casey Startzel with a nice backhand to Doug Roman. Looking into the middle. Do that, Doug. Right in the middle. He's right there.
There you go.
Ahead. Greg Martin. Yeah. And back into Sean Mott.
Greg's going.
Sean didn't see him. And so Greg slows down and comes back. He's waiting to leave that space. Eric Nardelli from Marquez. And he puts it over to Sean. Oh, to Casey Startzel, I'm sorry. To Marquez at the 20. Into the end zone.
Uh-oh.
It is blocked.
Ooh.
Oh, it is blocked by the DC player on Stephen Eng.
That's David Bloodgood. Casey
And
laying out right back.
Almost taken back by Casey Startzel, who gets
Oh.
down, and it is thrown away.
That's
It is thrown away. Greg Martin up with it instantly. Gets hit by Del Rico Johnson. Back to Marquez.
slippery when wet.
Slippery when wet. Big time. Keep going. And Sean Mott with the backhand into
Yes.
the goal. To Greg Martin, I think that is.
Yes, it is.
Sean Mott to Greg Martin, and boom, we are back to 2.
Can't count this Philadelphia Phoenix team out anymore.
You sure cannot. Sean Mott, his 3rd assist. Greg Martin, his 3rd goal.
Looks like we're going to be here a little while, man.
Timekeeper just cracked a beverage. Of course, it's a soda pop. There's not anything untoward going on here in the booth. And with 6:57 left, we have the Philadelphia Phoenix within 2 at 19-17 on the mighty DC Breeze.
I think that poutine that Toronto offered these Phoenix guys is starting to kick in as motivation. There's gravy on those fries.
Oh, yeah.
Some
Yeah,
cheese
no,
curds.
But the main thing is the fries and gravy. It's
100 pounds of that stuff will kill you.
That 100 pounds might give a whole Frisbee team an ulcer. Who knows?
Oh, boy.
Oh, McDonald is up here already at the 32. Rowan, a nice flick fake, trying to get Phoenix to bite. DC kind of needs a score here just to cement this thing. Kenny Wells on the near sideline. Scott Ju on the next throw. And we've got the small defensive line in here for the Phoenix, the cutters. Aaron Roberts, Ken Wells, Matt Esser. We got Nick Spiva and Ryan Forster as our big guys. Forster is over there on Rowan McDonald. And Rowan still gets it into the end zone.
To Matt.
Oh!
Yep, another one.
How does he not catch? Was that out of bounds? How did he not catch that?
It looks like it landed out of bounds. I'm going to give that turnover to McDonald.
I thought he had a hand under that. It was an easy goal.
Yeah.
Ladies and germs, we have a fourth now shot at a redux. Nick Spiva in the corner. He's had his turnover quota for today, so I'm not looking for any more from him. Nice Scotty Ju up to Aaron Roberts in the middle. And we have these quick cutters. I think they should be able to move inside very nicely. Aaron Roberts wide open for a big loopy hammer from Nick Spiva. Choosing his throw wisely. Everybody using their fakes. Nick with an easy flick out to Scott Ju in the middle. And Scott with a ripper to Matt Esser, who doesn't see it until it's too late. But it's a DC disc at the 7. They once again have the entire field to go, and I think DC may call a timeout here. They do.
Yeah.
They do, exactly.
I was about to say, I think that the Phoenix probably should have called a timeout there.
That's actually a good point. I think you're right. With 5 minutes left, what are you saving them for?
Yeah, exactly.
And I would guess Eileen Murray, there I go again. Eileen is probably thinking she'd like to have that opportunity back. But they also had Nick with the disc and, you know, an O-line out there who can get around. So Darryl, again, gets in Stacy Spencer's ear, gets that timeout to make sure that the Breeze capitalize on this. Now, given that they have just turned the disc 4 times in a row, that is definitely the opportunity for the timeout. The Phoenix have scored on 3 of those to take it from 5 down to 2. And
well, it's a double-edged sword there as a coach, because if you call a timeout to get your offense in, then their guys were beat tired.
Right.
And
yeah.
That's
get fresh like Sue. So I think
exactly.
Eileen was kind of thinking,
sure.
Hey, we got our gun with the disc. And
right. She has them on the ropes, keep them tired, and keep working them. Sure. You're absolutely right. There is that side to it, and I think, you know, for the Phoenix on D, Darryl's timeout is actually a little bit of a gift, because they had to be huffing a little too, as many turns as there have been. And we have Greg Martin at the back of the stack with Nardelli next, Marquez inside him, Casey Startzel next inside, and, you know, a really good man D going on here. Not to allow, Startzel is down on the goal line now. Ooh, Stephen Eng. Everybody is looking to get their hands on this disc on the Phoenix.
They're hungry right now.
Yeah, they are not looking to just shut things down.
Ooh.
They're looking to get it.
Oh!
Oh, Eric Nardelli. And it's not. He's going to get it easily. And there it is. DC finally gets that score to take it to 21.
Tyler Monroe, I believe.
That's twice this game that DC has called a timeout.
Or to 20, I should say. It's 20, right? Not 21? Okay. Yeah, because it was 2, right?
Yep.
You know, the flip side of the fact that the Phoenix have only scored 17 in this game is that they've held DC to only 20, which is that's a pretty nice defensive game against this Breeze team with less than 5 minutes left. They regularly score over 30, so to keep them down, at least against the lesser teams, which the Phoenix used to be in this division. Del Rico Johnson about to pull it. And we have out there Will Honey, Nick Spiva, Oak Nelson. I'm sorry, that's Ryan Brown, isn't it? Yes.
Nicky Spiva's
Spiva,
out.
yes.
Yeah.
Sean Mott, Paul Klimkowski taking the disc. That cat on the reception. And we have Sean Michael Mott on the near sideline. He's caught pretty much everything today. Nick Spiva back across to Paul Klimkowski. Coming up to Oak Nelson, who stretches a little to grab that one. A nice little fake upfield.
Oh, man.
And that just gets tipped. That's a nice tee play on by the DC Breeze.
I don't know why Oak hesitated throwing that dump to Glenn Poole there. He had him open both times that he faked him before throwing it. So
he should have gone with that. But a layout D is hard to give a turnover to Oak Nelson on. You got it. He just got a fingernail on that, but unfortunately it was all he needed. And now they're trying to force them back a little bit, which they are. But coming to the near side, Oak Nelson.
Good seal
goes
by Oak
horizontal
Nelson.
on a good fake. And gets back up. Ball Klimkowski. It's not in the end zone yet, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. And
just outside.
Oh!
He's going to grab that one.
Yeah.
I believe that's Bloodgood to number 17, Eric Miner.
And there we are, back to a 4-goal lead with 3:41 left. Well, we held out hope, but at this point it's tough to think that the Phoenix are going to come back. It is tough to think. But
4 points in 3 minutes and 41 seconds, Bailey. I don't know.
yeah, you 4 goals, you know. We get a stuff and score real quick. You never know.
Do you believe in miracles?
Do you believe in miracles? That would be a pretty miraculous comeback. But, you know, I'm not opposed. I like the idea myself.
Let's see if the Phoenix can dig it out here.
Disc is up. We got Matt Esser, Stephen Ing on the reception to Scott Jew in the middle. Ken Wells, Matt Esser, Sean Mott, Greg Martin, and the inimitable Marquez Brownlee with the disc at the 35. A little back.
Wow.
Oh,
nice find.
From that was good anticipation. Stephen Ing to Matt Esser. He's
Wide
gonna
open.
get that, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, sir.
That's how you got to score. Nice,
Quickly.
easy, and quick.
Quickly, very quickly. Stephen Ing with the pop into Matthew Esser for his first goal against 2 assists. Just send it, fellas. And we're back down to 3. So, now if I am D. Stanley, and I am not, oh, is that Matt Esser coming to the camera? That's funny. And Esser still on the field holding the disc. Aaron Roberts back out there with
Kenny Wells.
Kenny Wells and Ryan Forster, is that? I
Yes.
think it is, with the backwards hat.
Yep. It's a little ninja bandana thing.
Yes, right.
The headband.
Right, there you go. Sean Mott, who must be tired by now. He's been playing a lot of two-way. Kokonash in there, too. Oh! He wants to wrap around and get that. We have a big backhand going deep.
And that's tough right there.
A little too easy, yeah.
It's Matthew Kerrigan.
Matt Esser with the spike into the camera on that last goal. And unfortunately, the DC Breeze just take it back to 4 just like that. Of course, they only ran a few seconds off the clock, so there's still plenty of time. But, you know, if we trade here, obviously the result is a foregone conclusion.
The only thing DC has to do is score their 0 points, and it's game over.
Right. Justine being a good hostess to Don Grage, the DC ownership team who's here. It's nice that even in this pro league, the atmosphere is so collegial between these teams. The owners and the staff really do their best to make it an easy trip for the visitors. They don't turn the heat up in the locker room and all that stuff. Glenn Poole and Paul Klimkowski out here. Marquez looking for it in the middle, but covered, and Ryan Brown comes over for it instead. Ooh, and we have Greg Martin going deep. Don't go early, Greg. Yes, there you are. Nick Spiva in the middle.
Yeah,
to
put it out to
Marquez,
space.
who doesn't quite get in, but he's got plenty of options. And
Lefty.
there it is. To number 35, Ryan Forster for the goal. From Marquez Brownlee, his second assist against 3 goals tonight. Must say, we also have a lot of balance going on this Phoenix offense in terms of the stats.
Yeah.
You don't have anybody that they're relying on for 8 of anything.
I mean, over here on the DC side, Joe Freund has been all over the place. 4 goals, 3 assists.
Yeah.
Other than that, fairly balanced over here, too.
I tell you, a quick block and a goal, Steve Leinert is saying, and we've got a 3-goal lead here for the Breeze. But, you know, once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is how that first game went. The Phoenix did not lead until the final 30 seconds. But those were the 30 seconds that counted. Marquez with a big pull.
That's a nice pull right there, Marquez.
Sure is. Going into the end zone, I think, or right to the line.
Doug Roman busting his butt to get down there.
Stephen Ing right behind him. Matt Esser, Greg Martin, Marquez. Rowan McDonald sort of tossing Casey Startzell to the ground there. Jeff Wodach.
And there it goes.
And he puts it up a little high.
You got
Eric
that, Nard.
Nardelli is going to get that. Oh!
Wow.
He maxed it out of bounds. I thought the DC receiver might have a shot at that.
Scared me for a second there.
Here we are at 2:13. Casey is getting that and jogging it up.
Nardelli's been making plays for a couple weeks now.
He sure has. Yeah. And we got, that's right, we got to give Nardelli that D, because he certainly earned it. Matt Esser with a nice bladey flick over here back to Nardelli with a flick deep.
Don't give up on that ball.
Oh. So, was that Greg Martin? That was Nardelli.
That was Nardelli throwing it.
That was Nardelli with the throwaway. That's all right. We forgive him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good catch, bad throw syndrome. That's, or good D, bad throw syndrome. Ooh. We have no sideline call there. I guess he was in. Joe Campbell's certainly experienced enough to see that, so it's like he could have been out, but no. Wodach easily dropped in for the goal. Back to 4 with 1:10 left. Well, I think it's safe to say this game is going DC's way. Despite the best efforts of the Philadelphia Phoenix. So no poutine, my
no
friend.
Poutine.
No poutine from the Toronto Rush, who play tomorrow, I gather, against New York. But really, they just wanted to not have the stress of having to win that game. I don't think it's going to be all that difficult for them. And I expect it to be at least by 4 or 5 goals, depending in part, of course, on who New York takes up there. To Toronto, yeah. I imagine, if I'm New York, I want to bring all my guys to give them a game. It is a tough trip.
I don't even think half of that New York team wants to play anymore this season.
But Toronto especially. Scott Shue to Nick Spiva. Scotty almost double covered. He's getting outside a little cup zone they have going. Paul Klimkowski wondering who that's to. It turns out to be Glenn Poole.
Look at that.
To Sean Mott. Ooh, we got a rhythm goal going here. Oak Nelson, without a stall count on him, stops and centers it to Paul Klimkowski, who takes it easily over a diving defender back over to Glenn Poole, who's looking end zone. Nick Spiva at the 2. Boom.
Nice.
Here we go. Sean Mott spiking it after the player who crushed him. We have a ref getting between them, and the DC players pushing his player away. Sean Mott took exception to being. We have an unsportsmanlike conduct call right now. That's what's going on there. That's what that sign is with the hands behind the head. That's a warning. A single one of those calls is grounds enough for expulsion, but a second one is a guaranteed ejection. Now, with 37 seconds left, I don't think anybody's worrying about that. But we had Nick Spiva throwing into Sean Mott on that one. And Sean, for his first goal of the season, and he had to wear a DC defender to get it.
Yeah.
I think that was Bloodgood, who was over here snapping a towel, but Sean Mott did not appreciate that, and he got up and kind of went at Bloodgood. And to be honest, I'm not sure. I think that may have been offsetting personal fouls because there is no adjustment on the pull line.
If you spike it and it hits innocent player, it's unsportsmanlike, so that might have been what happened.
Yeah, I don't.
It didn't look like the spike hit him.
No, it wasn't on the spike because he did that right onto the ground. It was the confrontation afterwards where Joe had to step between them, and I think rather than because the DC player did not back away or hold his hands up, but rather went at Sean Mott as well, that he did an offsetting, or we'd see an adjustment on the pulling positions. DC with what should be their final possession, 35 seconds on the clock. Rowan McDonald just looking upfield, really just looking for an open man. And if they want to stick a finger in the Phoenix eye, they will try to score here. Otherwise, they'll just pass it until the clock runs out. They don't have anybody going long until now. Rowan McDonald is going past midfield. But he's holding a hand up while he's over there alone, but Marquez is kind of tracking him.
Nice bid from Spiva. That's
the
game.
He's just going to hold it with Nick Spiva guarding him as well. He should. This is Nicky's old team, of course, so he's saying hello to a bunch of the guys from DC. Big hugs. And we're going to have the lineup now and the final handshake line. But that play just before the end was unfortunate. I think all is going to be forgiven here, though. It's not something anybody's going to hold against anybody. Our final, ladies and gentlemen, is 23-20. The DC Breeze, a little less than they beat the Phoenix by in DC, which is 6 or 7 goal margin. Matt Esser leading the Phoenix across, getting a hug to, giving a hug to Darryl Stanley, who is probably going to get hugs and handshakes from all these guys, his old players, as he does. And a really great end of the season for the Philadelphia Phoenix, showing a lot of promise for next year. We hope that our reporting has been fun for you. It certainly has been for us. Want to thank again Sean Dacey, Steve Leinert, Mark Sands, Pat Gariantes, Nick Holliday, Len Evans, all the folks who make this happen out here. Eli across the field doing the stadium calls. Our referee crew, Joe Campbell, J.B. Harrington, Stacy Spencer, and Dan Maraski. Owners George Harris giving Don Grage a hug down there, and his wife Carol taking care of us here in the booth. And all the folks here in Conshohocken who make these things happen. We sure hope to see you back here for 2018. A promising 2018. I'm sure there will be some changes to the roster, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot of the same, much better players here as they progress through the club and, spring seasons next year. People ringing out all their jerseys. So once again, from beautiful downtown Conshohocken, Pennsylvania, we here at 302 Sports, and myself, Bailey Soul, and Sean Dacey, thanks again for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. We'll catch you next year. Until 2018, take care and be well. Thanks again.